It's an honor for me to address you this evening. I've very impressed to see who all showed up here tonight in this awesome facility, and look out and see a lot of very distinguished folks. Some of you I've heard about, but not ever met. Others, of course, many of you we've met, and some of us have spent some time together on this endeavor or another. And many people that I've not met, and some of you who that I've not met and have been reading about in tonight's program. Very impressive people, folks that have accomplished a lot, and I think it's awesome that you're being recognized tonight for your accomplishments and for who you are and for what you've done. And I'm honored to be able to address you and hopefully give you some words that might do some good somewhere. The challenge when you're asked to speak at an event like this is everyone expects you to say something intelligent and something new, and that is a challenge. When I was growing up, I took a test. One of those grade school, I guess this was in junior high, tests of what do you want to be when you grow up. And after this one particular test, principal called me into his office and said, "Are you Frank VanderSloot?" This was Sandpoint, Idaho. It's not a big town, it's not a big school, and he didn't know who I was. So you kind of get the idea. I was not really, I was kind of a quiet kid. And he said, "Are you Frank VanderSloot?" I said, "Yes." I'd never been called to Mr. Stidwell's office before, and he said, "Well, I'm worried about you." I said, "Really? Why? What did I do?" He said, "Not what you did, is this test you took." He said, "You scored particularly poorly in an area. In fact, the worst score we've ever had in this one particular category in this test." I said, What's the category?" He said, "The desire to be a leader." And I said, "Okay, so what are the questions that they asked you to draw that conclusion?" He showed me. It was kind of questions like, if they're going to take care of the garbage in town, which role would you rather play? Would you rather be the mayor that decides what company to use? Would you rather be the owner of the company that picks up the garbage? Or you'd rather be the guy in the back of the truck picking up the garbage? Easy answer for me. I want to be the guy picking up the garbage, because I don't have to be in front of anybody. I don't have to put myself out and take whatever risks I perceived that there were at the time of making, I guess, a fool of myself in public. So that was my beginning. I still have those trepidations today. What gets me through that is I got stuff I want to say. Over the years I've learned that if I share some of those things, it sometimes turns out okay. But I've been asked to give my paradigms tonight. Some paradigms I have about life and about business in general. They've given me 25 minutes. I've already used 4 of them. I'll try to use the next 21 minutes a little better. 239 years ago, our nation sprang out of infancy, out of the idea that freedom has merit, that it was worth fighting for and dying for. And I'm grateful for the people who had that vision. And out of that idea came many freedoms that we enjoy today that we just take absolutely for granted. And one of those freedoms is the idea of free enterprise. And it's because of that idea, free enterprise, being able to start your own business, having a profit motive, the whole idea of what we call now capitalism, the idea of making a profit, hiring people, rewarding people for a job well done, providing employment, paying taxes on that business, is what has caused our nation to prosper. Now, I've been on the board of directors now at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce for, I think I'm in my 16th year. And it was the same year that Tom Donahue came into the chamber. He came a couple months before me. And I've learned so much about the history of our country And I've learned so much about protecting and valuing this whole idea of free enterprise. That's what the U.S. Chamber really tries to do. We try to protect free enterprise and keep it a part of America. Other nations tried other things. They tried other methods. Communism, socialism, you know the history of those nations. They failed. Socialism is just, or communism is just socialism on steroids. And they failed. Russia, China, Cuba, East Germany. And now, of course, socialism is having a tough test when you look at countries like Greece. America continues to prosper, but we can't take that for granted. The reason America is prospering is because of free enterprise. The reason we became the most profitable, or the most prosperous nation on the planet is because of people like you. And you're all employers or employees. Doesn't matter. You play an integral role in making America great. And that's what I just want to visit with you a little bit on tonight. This whole idea that we have in America to govern our own lives. And the thought strikes me often that this is the only life we're going to have. Of all the billions of people who came before us, and let's hope we don't destroy it so billions of people will come after us, after we're here. They came, they've been here, they're going to come. But this is our time. This short time on earth, and it's pretty dang short. The older I get, the more I realize how short it really is. It goes by in the blink of an eye. In the realm of eternity, our life, whatever it is, life expectancy 85, 87 years, however old, that goes really fast. But that time that we have on this earth, I think we ought to make the best of it. In the choices that we make, have a mediocre life, have a great life. I would choose a great life. And that means we got to make some good decisions. That means we probably shouldn't dabble it away. That means that we probably should use these precious moments to be doing stuff that make life great. When we started our company some 30 years ago, we started with a mission statement. It was me and 6 ladies in the office. And we had just been through a little endeavor with the previous company that only lasted 5 months, and it hadn't worked. And I thought, we'll plow that under, start over, and we're going to start on the right foot this time. So I wanted to make sure we didn't get off base. And so the mission statement went like this, and it sounds a little trite, but to me, it's meant everything. And here's our mission statement: to enhance the lives of those we touch by helping people reach their goals. That was the idea. Let's endeavor to help others reach their goals. To do that, you have to find out what their goal is. And I just thought it would be a worthwhile endeavor just to be involved with helping people reach their goals, whatever their goal is. And that meant everyone from, yes, our employees, and first our customers. Let's help them reach their goals, what they want our products to do for them. Let's make sure that our employees reach their goals. Let's make sure let's make sure that the people in our community reaches their goals. Vendors, people who sell us stuff, let's help them reach their goals. Let's have everybody whose life we touch, let's find out what their goal is and see if somehow we can come in tandem with them and get synergy to help them reach their goals. We haven't been perfect at it, but we've learned some stuff, and it turned out that not only was it been a fun endeavor, it's been a worthwhile endeavor. I didn't know that there would be this kind of a financial return on that. But if you stop and think about it, not very many times in your life do you have somebody come up to you and say, "What are your goals?" I'm going to endeavor to help you reach them. In fact, I'm going to dedicate some of my life to helping you reach your goals. How many times has that happened in your life? It's usually everybody's running around trying to do their own thing, and they're not really, you don't ever get the synergy going. Well, I've learned a lot as we've asked people, what are your goals? We're now in 14 different countries. We've asked a lot of people what their goals are, a lot of people, to the tunes of hundreds of thousands of people. And what I've learned is everybody's goals are pretty similar. They all have something in common. And although they might define their goals with some this certain idea or that certain idea, it's always based on the same thing. They just want to be happy. They just want to have a great life. And all of their goals have to do with having them have a great life, which basically means be happy. And it doesn't, very seldom are those goals financially based. And when they are, they're probably misled. So what we've learned is, this is not going to be a surprise to any of you because this is stuff you already know, but it's good maybe just to visit on it a second. The things that make us happy, the things that give us a great life, relationships, family, the concept of giving love and of being loved. I know of no more dynamic power than the power of being loved unconditionally. That no matter what you do, no matter how you behave, no matter where you disagree, that someone would love you in spite of all your weaknesses. And for those of us, and I feel like I've had a few people in my life who have loved me like that. One was my father. Empowering. And to give love, to give that kind of love is empowering to people. And if we have that, it goes a long ways to having a great life, regardless of any other thing that can happen to us. I've learned that gaining knowledge helps me. When I find out stuff, when I learn stuff, it's like having a great big, learning truths. In the New Testament it says, the truth shall make us free. I have had that experience, and I'm sure you have too, when you understand something, maybe about someone else, maybe about the world, maybe about nature, just when it's like a great big jigsaw puzzle. Life is like this, at least it is to me, where you've got these pieces over here, and you can put this piece to this piece, but then you got these pieces over here, and you put those. When you can put pieces together, isn't like when you build a jigsaw puzzle, and those things fit together, you just get all of these endorphins, and you say, that's really great. Which brings us to another point, creation. I believe that we were created to be creators. When we create something and make something, and when we know that what we created was good, I think if we created something that was bad, we probably wouldn't be very happy with ourselves, but we create something that's good, we feel pretty good about ourselves. That's pretty evident in, if you look at the Old Testament, and you see when the world was created, that story. Whether you believe that story is actually happened, or whether you don't believe it, that's not the point I want to get into. The lesson that is taught there, when he created, at the end of every day, if you watch, he looked back at what he had done that day and saw that it was good. And then on the sixth day, he looked back and saw that it was very good. I've seen so many people in my life where they have built something. Belinda, my wife, she likes to vacuum. She's a nester. And for her to have a clean house, that's her creation. We're all born to be creators. And to the degree we can be that and can create things in alignment with what we believe is our values, then we'll have a great life. And if we're not doing that, we're probably not going to have the life that we want to have. Which brings me to what I think is probably the final point I want to make. And that is, we got to do all of this within the bounds of what we know is right and wrong. And we all have our own template. And what I've learned also, it doesn't matter whether you're in China or whether you're in Europe or whether you're in the United States or you're in South America, that template's pretty much the same. Real similarities, how we all come up with what we believe is right and wrong. Honesty, truthfulness, good stuff. Forgiveness, good stuff. If whatever your boundaries are, and by the way, cheating, going against bad stuff, it doesn't matter who made the rules. We've got our own rules. If we go against our own rules in our own life, we will forego. It doesn't matter how successful we'll be. It doesn't matter what level of fame or fortune or richness or wealth we achieve. If we cheated to get there, we will not like ourselves. We cannot run from ourselves. We cannot hide from ourselves. We know who we are. The epitome of success in my mind would be, I used to think 80 years old, because I thought 80 was old. Now I'm 67. I'm thinking, ooh, I better move it up, because it's not, but whenever old is, when we're at the twilight of our life, and I don't want to offend anybody that 80 is like the twilight of your life, because there's some 80-year-olds in this room, and I don't want to say that. And now I'm thinking 80 and just starting, right? But whenever that is, at the close of it, if I could look myself in the mirror, or if any of us could, and look at the face looking back at us, and say, I know you. I know everything about you. I know everything you've ever done. I know every thought you've ever had. I know every mistake you've ever made. And because I know you, I know what you've done to correct those things, and therefore I trust you and I like you. If we could come to that point, at that point in our life, I think we leave here having had a great life. Regardless of any other factor, I think that that's the test. And with that in mind, you know, we watch TV and the marketers, they will tell us that we ought to seek having stuff. Hey, if you had a bigger car, if you had this car, you'd be happy. If you had a bigger house, if you had, you know, hey, the neighbor got a big screen TV, you'll be happy if you had one. You're not going to be happy. In fact, they teach our kids, if you don't have the designer clothes, you're not okay. We know that's hogwash, but try telling that to our kids after they've been brainwashed with that stuff. And I think that as parents and as human beings, as friends, we got to remind ourselves that that has nothing to do with having a great life. Nothing. Nothing at all. Now, it's good to have resources. If we're going to build things and create things, it's good to have resources. And many of you, perhaps all of you, are in endeavors to create resources for your families. And that's where free enterprise comes in. And you know, our business, what Melaleuca does, is we capitalize on that to help people, set people up in businesses with no risks. They don't buy or resell anything, but we set them up in little businesses where they cannot get hurt, but through hard work that they can maybe get ahead in life and supplement their income. And that's been a good endeavor also. As long as people are using those resources not to have stuff, but to create stuff, and yeah, to build relationships. That's what I believe. Now, I'm gonna switch to a little different angle on this concept, and just give you. I'm going to jump around a little bit because that's how my mind works. And that is, you're either employers or employees. And I've been asked specifically to talk about good employees and good employers. And it's pretty simple in my mind. I'll break it down into a couple of just brief concepts. How to be a great employee. I will tell you, I've never had an employee tell me this, but I would hire every single employee that would tell me this. If you say, what do you want to do with your career? And if that employee responded back, I just want to help you reach your goals. Would that be a great employee or what? And as an employer, I try to help people who have, or try to hire people who have that concept. Find people in your business. If you're an employer, try to find people who are going to help you reach your goals. And if you're an employee, look at it from the other angle. Try to help your employer reach their goals. And if you can get that synergism going, you've got some magic. We look for people who are bright and passionate and have great ethics. That's the criteria. Brightness, we put a high value on brightness. I think good ideas is where the magic is. Brightness, passion, and ethics. Those three things, and you've got a great employee. How to be a great employer? Once you find those bright, passionate people that are going to help you reach your goals, and if they're in tune with that, then treat them really well, and you help them reach their goals. And I don't know if I was expected to say more than that, but I think it's that simple. Find good people, bright people, passionate people, and help those folks reach their goals. I'm going to close with this thought. I'll just mention one of the things. Let me ask on the 3 books. How many of you have read Good to Great? Okay? If you haven't read that book, get that book. It's from Jim Collins. Get that book, read that book. It's one of the best books written, and there's a lot of paradigms. One of the paradigms is, and by the way, what that book is about, and it's not a brand new book, it's been around for a while, but the concepts are like awesome. Really an eye-opener. Yeah, and so they did some study on great companies. You had to meet certain hurdles to be a great company, only a few great companies in America, and they tried to decide, were there any common elements about great companies and the people who led them, as opposed to the ones who weren't great in the same market? There were several factors that made it a great company, and you'll get into all that, but the things that, one of the big ahas to me, big aha, was this idea. The idea that the enemy to great is good. Big eye-opener for me. What does that mean? That means if you're good, you're probably never going to be great. And sometimes the thing that gets you to greatness is utter failure. They'll have a better chance of getting to great because they'll have the courage to plow it under. If things are going good, and I think for us, if we're having a good life but not a great life, we may not be willing to change the things that we need to change. We may not be willing to plow under our old habits or meet ourselves or say that we're sorry or ask for forgiveness and change ourselves because everything's okay, not great. But if it's going to be great, you got to do those things. And the enemy to great is good. So if you're having a good life but not a great life, there's some things to learn about that in that book. Winning by Jack Welch. How many have read Winning by Jack Welch? Not as many. Okay, so especially if you're on the employer side or you want to be an employer someday, Jack Welch, perhaps the greatest CEO of all time. At least he's perceived that in the business world. He grew General Electric from a pretty good-sized company to at that time, while he was CEO, the largest corporation in the world, and he talks about how he did it and what some of the principles he used to do that. So if you're growing a company, it's full. I went to business school. I got a business degree. Had good grades at BYU. Didn't learn anything there compared to what's in that book. So, and the other real good book, how many have read Blink by Malcolm Gladwell? A handful of you. Other really good book. What it'll teach you is to go with your instincts. Go with your instincts. Become a student. Learn about stuff, and trust. Basically, trust your gut. Kind of some tidbits there, and I'll finish with this thought. So Jack Welch was talking after he had retired. He went on the speaking circuit, and he still does that today. And he's talking to University of Illinois and to graduate students in the business department, in the business college. These were kids who were getting they'd already graduated in business. Now they were getting their MBAs. Some of them had already graduated their MBA, or they were getting close to graduation, and he was coming to talk to basically the graduating class. It wasn't the graduation ceremonies, but it was leading up to that. And so all these business kids sitting around, and one of these students in the back of the room, a lady student, said, "What advice, now that we're going out into the business world, what advice would you have for us?" And he thought for a second. He said, two things. I would make two comments. The first is a question. And I would ask you, is business your thing? Well, heck, they were graduating in business. They just spent 4 years, 5 years, in fact, some of them 6 years, getting the business degree. And he's asking them, is business your thing? And he's saying, yeah, I understand all that. I want you to ask yourself one more time. Is business your thing? And then, if it is, then my counsel would be, then don't dabble. That was it. And I think that's good advice for all of us. This is the only life we've got. We want to have a great life. You know what'll make a great life for you. Relationships. Let's fix them. Let's say we're sorry. Let's repent from our wrongdoings, whatever that is, where we've offended people. Let's change ourselves. Let's have great relationships. Let's get serious about the things that we have in front of us, opportunities we have. Let's not let us have it pass us by. And